And guys, that's going to wrap up Media Mania. So we're going to go ahead and dive right into the meat and potatoes of the podcast, talking about The Bear. Now, The Bear is a very popular show on FX that has received a lot of critical acclaim. I'm sure you guys have seen, Ayo Edebiri walking away with her Emmy. Also, Jeremy Allen White, Eben Moss, Bachrach, I think they say his last name, getting an Emmy, and also Lisa Colin Zayas getting an Emmy as well. Like everybody, right?
Yeah.
Almost everybody on the cast has a beautiful gold statue in their home due to their
Deserved.
Yes, well deserved. Beautiful gold statue in their home due to their amazing work on The Bear. And if you haven't watched The Bear is a show on the FX. It basically follows Carmy. He's a very talented young chef who was living life in New York, and he goes back home to Chicago after his older brother passes away. And he inherits this struggling family-owned sandwich shop from his brother. And, he's trying to, get it up and running, get it to making money, get it to work. And it's proving to be very difficult. But that's basically where we start in season 1. The show has 3 seasons. It was renewed for season 4 as well. And season 4 will be coming out next year in the summer, as it has every year. Which is also something I love about The Bear, is that every year we get a season.
Thank you. Oh my God. Yes, thank you. Regular season schedule. Like I should not have to wait years for the next one.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Because FX said, y'all want your little cookie show? You got it. You got it. You got it. Here
and it's
it
like,
is.
I think they probably already, like, from the beginning knew where they were going in the end. And I love a show that starts out and it just knows this is how many seasons we need. This is how it's going to end, because you're about to get a wonderful experience.
Not only that, I love a show that knows the story, how to tell a story, how it ends, and also the network, the streaming service, whatever platform it's on, they're like, and we will give you the money and the renewals you need to tell your story. All right? I'm looking at you, Netflix, because what's going on, girl? What's going on?
Like, honestly.
But, we're not talking about Netflix right now. We're talking about The Bear. Yes. And I wanted to get your opinion on The Bear season 1. Like, what were your initial thoughts when you first started watching the show?
I was immediately enamored with it. I just really appreciate a show about people who are good at what they do, just to start out. And so to watch, like, Carmy be a person who is, like, very good at what he does, kind of move away from it, was an interesting story to see him kind of come back to it, deal with his grief, see Sydney kind of struggle to push him in a direction where he does that, see Richie fighting to keep things exactly the same, and Tina actually learning that she can still learn stuff. Like, it's just the way that we come at the story is just so appreciative. I think so many shows recently have gone into community building, and I think The Bear does this really well, specifically with, like, coworkers, because they become a family, but, like, for real. Like, they for real become a family. Like, Carmy does put his money where his mouth is as time goes on, like, invests in them to stay and be in this. Like, he could have easily just been like, get out of here, we're gonna hire actual sous chefs, but, like, he, like, invested in his people, and it's really wonderful to see a show that does that, and to also see kind of the struggles of, like, wanting to be the best but do it in a way that you, as someone experienced, has not seen it be done before.
Right.
That struggle that he always is struggling with is very interesting to me, particularly when we get into season 3. But season 1, it's, like, really great to see him kind of reacquaint himself with the thing that he loves in a different way.
I absolutely agree with you, because season 1 of The Bear, I feel like I don't know if people will agree with me, but I do love the first season. I especially love the first episode of The Bear because I feel like the way that they start off The Bear is really interesting. Just like, you know, it does a perfect job of illustrating to you all the tension between like the kitchen staff and Carmy, who is this new person who's kind of like an outsider, who's not really like part of the family that they've already established, trying to come in and change things. And then there's Sydney, someone who's like fresh faced, bright eyed, ambitious, young. She's joining the team, but she's really joining because she loves the restaurant. Her dad loves the restaurant. He loves eating there. And she likes Carmy because Carmy is an award-winning chef, and she kind of like looks up to him, idolizes him, and she wants to work closely with him. And then all these different dynamics kind of like unfold. And I love how when you're watching the show, it does feel like you're stepping into a kitchen, like you're stepping into a restaurant. It doesn't feel like when I'm watching The Bear, I feel like I'm stepping into a real place that could genuinely exist. Because I've worked in the kitchen, I've worked in the back of the house, and there's always that one line chef in the back who is like kind of skinny and is like semi-attractive, but because you work there all the time and you're close to them all the time and like, you know, hormones, you're like, he might actually be like good looking, you know, like like, that one person is overexcited. You have the one guy who seems to boss everybody around, but he's not the actual boss. And then you have like the older employee who's been there for forever, and they don't do anything different. Like they just do things their way, and they will not change. Yeah. And I really enjoyed it about the show, just watching season 1, how, you know, you see the tension, you see how everybody kind of like, you know, clashes together, but how things kind of smooth out over time. Like seeing Marcus go from being the bread maker to the pastry chef is so wonderful because I love Marcus. He's my favorite character in the show. And to see him get excited about making desserts, making donuts, making cakes, like this kind of joy, this creativity, that's the shit I love. That's the thing I love. Like I want to dive into it. And then Sydney like kind of taking charge and like feeling like she's really part of the restaurant and like, you know, honing in her skills and her connecting with Tina, like her and Tina kind of like forming this bond. It's very sweet because that's what I want to see. And it's really tough to watch the show sometimes because like even though the show is very well done, very well written, the way they touch on like heavier topics I do like and I enjoy. But of course, because the show doesn't shy away from anything, it can be very uncomfortable at times. But it's necessary because, you know, when you work in the kitchen, you work with people. People are messy. People have problems. So those problems do tend to come to the light, you know. And it's hard to see, like, when you find out that Richie is selling drugs to try to keep the restaurant afloat. It's like, I get it. You don't have a lot of opportunities. But, like, we're selling drugs?
Yeah, Sir. Yeah. And it's like, that's another thing that I really love about the show is that the brother, like, his ghost is always there. It's in their debt. It's in the ways that the store has not been kept up. It's in the hearts of like everyone who's worked there. Like he built this community with like sticks and paper, and Carmy has to come in, and he wants to like elevate it, but also not have the sticks and paper fall apart, you know. It is so intriguing to see the way the ghost of like an imperfect person is, especially that kind of imperfect person, because anybody who once again worked somewhere in like some kind of like kitchen or like storefront or anywhere in their like local community knows that man. Like, is he sketchy? Sure, but you know you can rely on him. He's a very like he's down for his people. He will look out for you. He will hear you out. Like, but you're like he's a little shifty. Like there's something so real about all of these characters that you haven't really got to see in this way on television. Usually they're like a comic relief or like some kind of villain, but to see them as like actual people this way is just like very excellent.
And I do agree with you on that because one thing about a workplace comedy It's always funny, always lighthearted, usually a mockumentary, and usually on NBC. Like NBC always has to have some kind of workplace mockumentary on their
Yeah.
docket for their Wednesday night comedy special or whatever it is. But I think The Bear is very different. It's very different from any show like Superstore, because Superstore does show you the struggles of working class, people, and like what it's like to work retail, or like what it's like to like have a kind of dead end job and like figuring that out. And does Superstore get real? Yeah. Is it funny? Yes. But it never really, when you're faced with like high stress situations or uncomfortable situations, it's only every other episode or so. It's like not every single time. And
Right.
I think that The Bear does a really great job of showcasing, season one at least, does a really good job of showcasing the struggles of working class people. And not only the struggles, but like the pressure you feel in the kitchen and in life, and the anxiety, and how that's so overwhelming. Like the episode when Cindy left the pre-order option open for like online orders. I know what it's like when you're at work and you make a decision that's so awful and so terrible. You're just like, this is the day they fire me. This is the day I messed up, and it's done and it's over with. Like I had to go update my LinkedIn profile because I'm done. I'm done. They're kicking me out. Like I'm literally gonna have to pack up all my stuff and like send in my resignation letter, because they're not going to keep me after this. Because like, what did I do? It's like such a small thing that you could have done if you just double checked, but it leads to like such a huge consequence that's like, oh my God, my life is literally over at this very moment. And seeing that in a show is so amazing, because not many shows do a good job of showcasing what it's like to be working class and what it's like to work in a high pressure environment, but also show the camaraderie you have with your coworkers in a way that feels genuine, and it feels very grounded and very sincere. And I'm very grateful to The Bear season one, because it does this awesome job of encapsulating all of those things in, their first season.
Yeah, for sure. And it feels so real. It feels almost too real at moments. And it's an absurdity. The absurdity in it is the realness of it. I think, like, it's just the fact that you're actually watching this absurd thing happen on screen is the thing that makes it so funny. I just think it's very interesting to me to see all of the characters react to Sydney specifically, especially in season one. And with her mistake with that order and her insistence on updating everything and like all that stuff. Because also like the original owner of this place died and he was very important, but like, and Carmy is family, but they don't know what his intentions are. So to have like Sydney come in and want all these changes, to them, it's like, my job is on the line. And like, so the ticket orders to me also on top of it is like, if we don't like adjust to this properly, I could be done. Like I think this technology, this updating, it's like excess pressure on an already high pressure situation, which is just like literally a day-to-day life of working in a kitchen. Everything is turned up to 11 for that whole first season, because everybody is in this really precarious position. Like, am I going to be able to stay here? Are we going to be able to change into what I want this to be? Am I going to still have a job if this changes? Like, everybody has got like, or is on shaky ground. So it's really kind of culminates and comes to a head with the tickets, because that shaky ground is like, it's right there in the machine that people probably didn't even want to have to begin with. It's completely breaking down and having to like deal with that.
Yeah. And one thing I actually love about season one as well is the fact that like every single episode, something just gets worse. Like it's season two where there's like the health inspector that they didn't know was supposed to show up, or like maybe they weren't like, or I guess someone forgot, but the restaurant gets like a C rating, and then after that, they find out that the restaurant is in debt. They find out that like, like there is one episode where Carmy wants Cindy to run the restaurant in a way where it's a kitchen brigade, and so everyone has like certain roles, and She is very clearly not ready for that because you just brought her on staff. You know, like she is fresh out of college, doe-eyed. She doesn't have the work experience that you have, sir. So how is she going to be able to do that? And when she first confronts him about the problems in the kitchen and they're sitting out back and she's just like frustrated, like you could tell she's trying to keep it together. When Ayo is sitting on like the stalks and she's just sitting there with her hands between her legs and she's just like, I don't know what you want me to do. Like, it's very clear that she's frustrated and anxious, but she doesn't want to say what she actually feels. But you can tell in her body language that she is ready to literally just like jump in a river because she cannot handle it. And the way Carmy is staring at her, like he is staring dead at her. And in that moment, I was like, I've been there before. Like, I've been in a terrible dinner service where everyone's yelling at you, everyone wants something done, and you're just one person, you can't do everything. And then the person who's supposed to be helping you out, like, they're like, please, I need you to go back in there. I can't do this on my own. Like, I need you by my side. I think in that moment, a lot of people describe that moment as the start of, like, Sydney and Carmy's, like, you know, initial attraction to one another romantically. And to me, what I saw was a frustrated person who is excited and happy to have this opportunity, but ultimately very overwhelmed, and somebody who knows that he's not ready to do this, and he just needs somebody in his corner. Like, he just needs his guy. And Sydney is that guy. And so I guess I was reading it differently than other people were, because when he's staring at her, he's literally looking at her like she's a lifeline. And other people are like, oh my gosh, if he looked at me like that, I would fold. And I'm like, really? I would be so annoyed. But
like you just gave me a whole realization with the whole like, is Sydney Carmy a thing, or is everybody imagining it? You just like gave me a whole thing about like where women are at, where this guy that is like holding on to this woman as like a lifeline, like that's what you see relationships as. And that's why you see it as romantic. I think they're romantic, but I don't think it started there. I think it started later. Personally.
I also love, I've already said this before, but I do love Tina and Sydney's relationship, because when Tina was first like kind of mean to Sydney, I was like, no, be nice to her. She's trying. I was like, no, be nice. And then when, you know, Sydney like really does like, is, because she's making the mashed potatoes, and then Sydney's like, oh no, this is great, chef. Yeah, good job. And then she's smiling, like she's so happy. I'm like, listen, it's like, don't do this. You're going to kill me.
I love their relationship so much because, like I said, all these characters feel so real, especially if you've worked in a kitchen before. And like Tina is that lady who is like, I've been working here forever and I'm not changing nothing. And Sydney comes in and she's like I said, all these people are in this shaky ground because the owner is dead and now there's a new owner. And even though he's family, he's not family. We don't know what he's doing. Mm-hmm. So Sydney was like a threat. So every time, you know, Tina is like, this is how we do things. And Sydney is like, nah, we should probably do it different. Tina doesn't have as much power to say, no, this is how we do things. You know what I mean? Yeah. She's losing her authoritative voice to someone that like she doesn't even know and is like some kid. Mm-hmm. So like this whole start off of the relationship kind of lends itself to like a synergy where like I teach you this thing and you teach me that. Like they are both looking to each other for like some kind of like person to look up to, but also like as like support, as like it's so interesting because this could easily have been like Sydney's the little baby child of Tina. Mm-hmm. And that's like it. But like they like feed off each other in that way because Tina actually decided, hey, this is cool. And if I'm going to do my job, I might as well like have a passion for it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I love that relationship because what we typically see and what they could have easily done, they did a twist on it that I think we never, ever really see, especially with like older people. It's like a good life lesson, I think, for older and younger people that have to like work together.